Hi guys, it's Carol. My daughter's sitting here with me and she got me giggling. Um, how you? I'm doing great. I'm a little astounded because I'm going to tell you what a small, tiny little world we live in, especially with the internet. Um, don't bark, dogs. I told you I came from a horribly dysfunctional family. I wouldn't wish that kind of childhood that my brother, my sister, and I had on anybody. Um, and I don't really know, or for a long time, I didn't know my brother and sister very well. Um, my brother moved out on his own when he was 16, and that was the year I was born, so I never lived with him. My sister is 8 years older than me, and I don't remember her ever living at home. And we just virtually were strangers. We didn't have any kind of relationship until my mother died. And I remember we were at the florist ordering flowers to go on top of the casket, and I was with my sister, but you know, I had no more relationship with her than the lady taking the order for flowers. And I said to her, "We're orphans now. Maybe we should get to know each other." I remember distinctly saying that, and I remember her looking at me weird and saying, "Okay," something like that. And it took several years still, but now we're best friends. My brother, when I was a little kid, I never lived in the same house with him, but um, I had some contact with him, and he was my hero. He was the only male that was ever nice to me, and I thought he hung the moon. Uh, he joined the Navy when I was just a little kid in elementary school, and then after that, he didn't never lived in the same town with us, pretty much, except for one short period. And but I used to write him letters, and um, later in life, he got married and had 5 kids, and I used to write his wife. I went to see them when I was about 20, I guess, just briefly. My husband and I were going through their state, and I wanted to go see them, and so we did for about an hour. But anyway, they do not know me. I don't know them. I mean, my brother and I have a sort of a relationship. We play words with friends, is what we do. That's how we have contact now. And we occasionally email each other, but not real often. But still, I love him to death, and he is my hero and the greatest man I ever met. Um, but anyway, if I were to go to their town, sit down in church next to him, none of his kids would know who I was. He and his wife probably wouldn't know who I am. Um, we are virtually strangers. Well, he lives in a little bitty town in a state way far from me. When one of my subs recently mentioned that they hadn't had any snow in the town where she lived, and she mentioned the name of the town, I couldn't believe it. That of all the people in the world, somebody from that little town would be one of my subs. And so I asked, "Do you know this person?" And she said no, but she'd ask her sister-in-law or husband, and because they had grown up in that town. Well, it's a tiny little town, in New Mexico, where I grew up in a tiny little town, and everybody knew everybody and everything about them. Well, I'm just astounded that I, I have a friend, this sub, in that little town. And isn't that funny? Now, what's really weird is the town where I grew up in New Mexico is also a little bitty town, probably about the same size that town is. And my sister was curator at a museum there. She's retired now, but one time some people came through and signed the guest book at the museum, and they were from that little town. And so my sister said, "My brother lives there." And the lady knew him, and, actually called his wife right there. Um, anyway, I think in the entire world that my sister and I both have talked to people that live in that little town is just amazing. But